Hello friends! Welcome back to FoodPrints. I'm so very glad you're here with me because the big idea we're exploring today is pollinators and flowering plants depend on each other to survive. Take a look at these beautiful flowers here. I love flowers. They make me feel happy and always brighten my day. But flowers aren't just beautiful. They also have a very important job in nature. That's right, flowers have a job. And their job is to attract pollinators. That's why today's lesson is called Pollinators and Flowering Plants. As you young gardeners already know, our fruits and vegetables come from plants. But before that can happen, many of those plants need to be pollinated. Pollination is the exchange of pollen between two different parts of a flower. Sometimes this happens within one flower, and other times it happens between different flowers. But either way, this transfer of pollen allows plants to make seeds, and that allows plants to produce fruits, vegetables, and seeds for new plants. So, how do we get that pollen moving around? That's where flowers get to work. Tell me, what are your favorite things about flowers?
The bright petals. The way they smell.
Great answers. Most flowers have bright petals, beautiful colors, and very strong smells or aromas. And they use these things to attract the attention of pollinators, those creatures in the garden that help move the pollen around. So how does it work? First, we need to know the parts of a flower that are used in pollination. So take a look at this diagram. Here you can see a few different parts of a flower. These things over here are called the stamens. They have a long stem-like part called a filament and a small head called an anther. Down at the bottom of the stamen is nectar, which pollinators like to eat. The stamen is also the part of the flower that makes pollen, which looks like yellow dust. Here in the center, you have the pistil. The pistil is the part of a flower that takes in pollen, which the flower needs to make new seeds. The top part of the pistil is called the stigma. And the stigma is very sticky because that's how it captures the pollen. Okay, now that we know our plant parts, let's pretend that this brush here is a pollinator, like a butterfly or a hummingbird or a bee. And with this pollinator, we're going to move pollen from flower A over here to flower B over here. Our pollinator is flying around the garden looking for pollen and nectar to eat. And very soon, it's attracted to the bright colors and strong smells of flower A. So it's going to land on flower A and start poking around, looking for pollen and that yummy nectar. And as it's poking around, it brushes up against the stamen and comes into contact with the yellow dust, which is pollen. And it starts collecting pollen on its body. When our pollinator is done with flower A, it flies over to flower B looking for more yummy nectar. And when it lands, some of the pollen from flower A falls from our pollinator's body. And it's quickly collected by the sticky stigma at the top of the pistil on flower B. That pollen will now be used by flower B to help grow fruits and vegetables or seeds for new plants. And that's it. We just hand-pollinated a flower. Can you imagine trying to hand-pollinate all the plants around us? No way. That's why we're so lucky to have pollinators around. Like this bee here. Look at all the pollen that he's collecting on his legs while he's moving around from flower to flower. Pollinators do so much work for us and our environment, making sure that plants can reproduce and giving us all the yummy vegetables and fruits that we love to eat, like these right here. If it weren't for hard-working pollinators like bees, we wouldn't be able to eat things like strawberries, tomatoes, avocados, or honey, or even chocolate, which comes from the cocoa plant. Can you think of any other kinds of yummy foods pollinators help give us?
Blueberries, peaches, tomatoes, cucumbers.
Very good. Without pollinators, we wouldn't have any of those foods. That's why pollinators are some of our best friends in the garden. So, if you get a little scared when you see pollinators like bees and other insects in the garden, that's okay. Just take a deep breath, stay still, and think about all the hard work they're doing to give you yummy fruits and vegetables. And the next time you stop to smell a flower, take a look inside. See if you can spy its different parts. If you're lucky, maybe you'll also get to watch pollinators in action and say thank you to them for all their hard work. That's everything for this lesson. Thank you so much for joining me today. See you next time.